Not a very pleasant morning at all this morning. The wind was howling last night. Get up this morning, and it was there was some snow on the ground. It was 29, so I guess -2 Celsius. But kind of that damp cold that just everybody hates, especially after the last 2 days actually being nice days. It was a little frustrating, but by the look of the forecast coming, it's supposed to be pretty nice. I believe Sunday through Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, off and on. Now, that's a little bit of a mix of Pennsylvania and Ohio. I haven't looked at the Ontario forecast. I am going over there Friday evening. I believe, as of right now, I'm just undecided whether we're going to qualify Melisandre tomorrow or not. It's supposed to be so beautiful in Pennsylvania, at the Meadows, I should say, at the Meadows on Tuesday. I'm super tempted just to back off the training of Melisandre and Arrowhead Hanover instead of going in the 2-1 that I wanted to. Maybe go in 2-8 and then go back Monday with a first qualifier. A second one likely needed for sure for Arrowhead Hanover. That puts him maybe a week ahead of schedule. There's no real need for him to qualify. I can just take my time. And so that's what I'm kind of mulling over today. Do I call the race office and say, hey, I see there's 2 spots available in the qualifiers at Northfield on Friday. Would I be able to sneak a horse in there? They may say no anyway. And if so, maybe Melisandre could win there. Or just say I'll go Tuesday. Or quite frankly, next Thursday is supposed to be good weather too. My only fear on Thursdays, especially right now, is I'm looking at our dance card for today, Mounts for All Race 1. Now, if I stay for the qualifiers, I can't get there any earlier than race 4. So, as of right now, if you forward that a week to next week, Mounts for All, Vehement, Western Warrior, Never Lose Felix, Memory and Imagination, what are the odds that they'd be able to start those horses after race 3? Factor in that the Open is generally written for Thursdays. It was carried to Friday this week, the Open Trot. What happens if they don't carry it and it fails next Thursday? Now we have 6 horses in to go. There's a 0% chance I'd be able to get there for race 1, 2, or 3, and likely a similar chance that we won't have horses in the first, second, or third race. So all this stuff is rattling around in my head right now. What's best for the horse? What's best for us? Truthfully speaking, what's best for the horse? If tomorrow's track is good. Another question, and that soft spot going into the first turn, that's what canceled Tuesday, Wednesday's racing. Is that going to be rectified for tomorrow? So all this stuff has to be answered. There's a chance I just continue on with my plan, train Melisandre and Arrowhead Hanover hard tomorrow morning, and then just look for a next Thursday qualifier. I can do that. That's no problem. Or do I take a different route? So I'll figure that out as the day goes on. I still have to talk to Jason, Dr. Latessa, and I guess Tim to see what's the best route forward. Now, talking about yesterday, obviously it wasn't blind to me that country dancing struggled quite a bit in the turns yesterday. Now, a number of components go into that. We obviously didn't want to make any changes. Her coming off such an impressive mile, albeit slower mile. Did that play a component too? I don't know. Albeit slower mile in Ontario. We didn't want to make any changes, so we simply left the shoes the way they were, left the gear the way it was. Now, here's the change from last year. Country Dancing wore a 58.5-inch hobble last year. They're at 60 inches right now in her 3-year-old season. Again, you're moving from a 7/8 mile track, a little icier, to a summer-like surface on a 5/8 mile track yesterday. That wasn't lost on us, but I don't think it was enough for us to rush out and make wholesale changes to our equipment shoeing just because. Let's see how it plays out. Well, we got to see the show. Wasn't that great? Pretty bumpy in almost every turn. The power seemed to be there, but the execution wasn't because of the complications of our gate and equipment shoeing all put together. So here's the changes. Take the cork off her behind. Now she came with side-weighted shoes behind, which I don't mind. But first and foremost, the cork has to come off. So we're going to go to a summer shoe, probably a half-run, half-sweat shoe with a. We'll leave that side weight in there since she raced so well with one her first start. I'm apt to leave it in there. Now that side-weighted shoe, in theory, keeps her away from her quarters, right? You see that rolly gate? Obviously, that's mechanical. That's a mechanical problem, one that she's had her whole life. Remember way back when, this is how she ended up at the Meadows last spring, was because she was so bumpy at Northfield Park. She had an okay season at the Meadows that did not translate to the Red Mile. When she trained down, I thought she trained down okay, but her first mile was super impressive. How do we get back to super impressive? How do we inch closer to there? So we're going to start likely with a half front, half suede shoe, no cork, and a side weight behind. Take all the cork off her up front. I'm not sure what she has. I'm assuming a full suede shoe, which would be just fine. No cork at all. Pull those hobbles back into 58.5 instead of 60. And if we feel like letting them out after that, then we will. Keep the bandages behind for the very same reason. The very same reason we want to keep the side weights. We don't want to change everything. We just want to clean up our mechanics. Last year, none of the vet work seemed to help, and none of it was really needed on a managerial basis, what I would call it, every 3 or 4 week basis. Nothing was really needed. The only things we found were her ankles up front, and I believe her check ligaments were a little bit pinchy from time to time. Tim has all those notes, and he's going to address all that stuff. So a lot of changes to make heading into next Wednesday. You know, my apologies to Ronnie, and I'll talk to him today, but we simply couldn't make any of those changes to Country Dancing off how good she looked at Mohawk. So we can now, we will, and I expect a much better mile next week from her. Yo, Mister, simply put, he doesn't like racing from behind. He had the 9-hole in the Open at Miami Valley. Somebody said, well, they only went 55. It was told to me that it was viciously windy last night, and I know it was where I live in Brunswick, which is quite a ways from Miami Valley, but the wind was definitely up, and for him to get away 9th and circle up to do anything more than, I would like to see him get a 5th, because he was probably only a length and a quarter away. But Yo Mister does not do his best work from off the pace. But when you have the 9-hole, we say it all the time, and you really have to conform to it. You got to play the hand you're dealt. We already know he can do in the Open, but you got to play in the hand you dealt. Now, speaking of the Open, and hopefully Open 2 next Wednesday, Spitfire Overseas was put on the truck today back to well, he'll be going to Northfield Park. I suspect he'll race at Miami Valley next week. Simply put, they only had 7 horses for the New Holland series, the one Drebin's in. Now, Drebin's going to have his hands full, obviously, with Fashion Frenzy and with Dave Maneri's trotter, whatever the hell his name is. The other horses, I think he's every bit as good as. But what will happen, I just don't see how they think they're going to fill an Open before the end of this series. As I asked the race office quietly that question, they said, well, the final goes on March 29th. Virtually, March 29th is when your Open trotters are going to get in again. Well, that's not going to fly. So, pack your bags, Spitty. You're on the way back to Ohio, and you will race likely next Wednesday at Miami Valley, I would assume. Now, a number of things can happen. I can't foresee a way that... so I think 3 things can happen. I'm going to give them all to you right now. The first scenario, which is highly unlikely, and what I would call almost impossible, is that they let Yo Mister drop into a preferred 2, or Spitfire Overseas into a preferred 2. The latter is possible because, remember, Spitfire won the backup classes never won the Open. He won the backup classes in Pennsylvania, went to Ontario. I was 3rd in the Open. Then James won the 24,000 class, back in the Open, 3rd in the 6-horse field again. They can look at those lines and say, all right, we'll let you race him in the Open too, Yo Mister in the Open, which would be fine for me. And then if Spitfire did well, and either they flip-flop or we give Yo Mister a week off, race Spitfire Overseas, his next start there. I will tell everybody right now, my intention is to get Spitfire Overseas back to Ontario. I think is one of his better races we've seen in a while was his last race with Jody Jameson. I think we can improve on that, and now I do believe now that he can really race with those Open trotters. He was only narrowly defeated for 2nd by a very, very good horse in, my apologies to those horses, the people that own the I can't think of that horse's name, Knew Something, the horse that Dave has. That was winning the Open. So, I believe he should be in Ontario, but I have zero interest in sitting on the sidelines until March 29th. We have the horse rolling now. Strike while the iron's hot. Keep him moving. We'll race him at Miami Valley. 2 more starts. and then go from there. Now, what could also be possible is looks like money takes a trip down to the Open at Miami Valley. Spitfire overseas races and whatever they have written for next week. With the money he has made, I don't know how they could write him into anything other than the Open. So the second option is highly unlikely. I think what you'll probably see is, in a perfect world for us, would be looks like money fills the Open again next week. Spitfire overseas races in the preferred 2, Open 2. Yo Mr. races in the Open 1. Everybody, all of the above do well. Yo Mr. gets a week off. Spitfire overseas jumps into the Open 1. The week after that, Spitfire goes back to Ontario. Yo Mr. goes back to racing in Miami Valley, where he's doing his best work by far. And I think that is a perfect scenario for us moving forward. As of this morning, Blue Ventura is heading to Ohio. We're going to race him either in the same condition on Wednesday. I think we go condition claimer non-winners at 2 with him. I don't think there's any need to jump up into the straight non-winners at 2. It's Jason. I'll call you right back. So I'm going to say we either stay to Northfield Park with him in the non-winners at 2 condition claimer there, or go to Miami Valley non-winners at 2 condition claimer there. Somebody said, well, why don't we go to the condition claimer in the Meadows? We could, but the
police reported ahead.
But the tag is much less than the one in Ohio. So I think we should stay to Ohio for now if we're going to go the condition claimer route. Whether it's Northfield or Miami Valley doesn't matter to me. One does go for a little less than 10, while the other one goes for 12. So that is why I'm leaning towards Miami Valley. I do want to see the results from yesterday and see how fast they're going. I'm pretty sure he can mop the non-winners at 2 claimer pretty sensibly and easily here at Northfield Park. Whether he can do it in Miami Valley, I don't know. There's no easy racing. I need everybody to understand that. Now, as I said, I'm on my way over to the Meadows. Excited to race Mounts for All. Short field, good horses leaving inside. If they were spread out a bit in a bigger field, I'd be licking my chops. I think I got a real good crack at them. As it looks like now, unless I get off the gate a little better than I think I can, I'm getting away 4th, which means at the very best, I'm first over getting into the last turn, which I'm okay with maybe. I'd rather get away 3rd, sit and finish up, but I just don't think I can beat Aaron's horse off the car. Vehement. Did some vet work to him, made some changes to him. I expect to get off the gate pretty good with him today. That's my hope and plan anyway. Western Warrior is going to need a start, so you're not going to see him driven too aggressively. I would still like to see him get a chunk of it, get away close and finish up well. That's my plan with him. Never Lose Felix. I'd like to get away 1, 2, 3 and sit with him. He's sitting on a good mile also. Bluebird Tuxedo Hill, outside post, coming off a week and a bit in Ohio. I don't think this is going to be his best performance. I just want to see a nice flat mile and a report from Brett and Stacy saying, you know what, I don't mind this horse. I didn't mind him last week, and I hope I hear the same thing from them today, but who knows? Memory and Imagination back in short order, but that won't hurt. Saturday back, Thursday's not going to kill him. He's picked to win this class. He should be good in here. We'll see. And Gymboree tonight, probably the most exciting mile tonight. She is going to be short. We weren't able to train her in between. Her qualifier was so-so because it was 2-4 in the mud, but it was sneaky good. I would be a bit surprised if she didn't trot 59, 2 minutes tonight, maybe 58 if she had to. I think she's a super talented filly. We have her on the Lasix. I think she'll do well tonight in Ontario. We'll see. But for right now, I'm excited to watch and participate in all the races today. Tomorrow is going to be every bit as exciting.
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Thank you. Whoever just said that. Tomorrow's racing, we have Looks Like Money, Arson. That's going to be a cool race. Looks Like Money's, they're gunning for him. So, I mean, how do I race him tomorrow? I'm going to go forward off the car and see where that lands. Hunter's not in any rush to make it easy for me, so he's going to make it difficult for me. So's Ronnie, so's Dave. We'll see how Money does tomorrow. Arson again, coming in off a couple of okay miles, but 53.27 on the end of it, and looked like he was stretched out good. I think he's ready to rock tomorrow, and I'm probably going to go forward with him off the car. Rose Run Alexander for sure is going to need a start. What'd she look like? 7-2 from post 5. All right, well, who knows? We should be able to do some good tomorrow. Oh, he'll know Rosetta. I'm driving Rosetta tomorrow, so that's how tomorrow's going to work out. I don't know about the qualifier. But I am going to train horses the morning of tomorrow in Northfield. I'm going to go to the Meadows and race 2 horses and then some other catch drives. Leave after race 9. Go directly to Ontario where I'll race Rosetta and Foxy Seaside. So that is the next 2 days. I know, you told me a second ago. The next 2 days are going to be really taxing, really busy, but you know what? It's okay. There's Saturday morning, I'm going to wake up, go with some babies, get a look at Chicago Hall and Resolve Indeed, and then I am going to come back. We have racing here on Saturday evening. We have Irresistible Sun and Fire and Shine here, and I get to watch Delicious Stone, DK, Rose Run, AJ, and Trosa race on Saturday night. So that's what went on today. Not a whole lot at the Burn for me today. The track was still closed as they work away at that soft spot going into the first turn. I'm hopeful they'll race tomorrow. They'll qualify tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to go with Melisandre yet. We talked all about that. We'll figure that out today. I am going to be at the Meadows today, tomorrow, and Ontario tomorrow night. Ontario in the morning to train horses in Northfield Park Saturday evening. So with that, I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day wherever you are. It is snowy here. I hope it's sunny wherever you might be right now.